we return to the final frontier, the 25th century to be exact. Although Buck Rogers, Tweaky, and that Wilma, she was another favourite of mine. They are no shows for now, but lots of other good and bad people have shown up, all to mark the last hurrah for the crew of Star Trek The Next Generation after 35 years on screens. If you are planning on watching the finale of Picard Season 3, there's going to be spoilers from this point on, pretty much minute by minute. So don't complain to us if you have the episode. It dropped a couple of days ago, pretty much everywhere. And this is your final warning. This is episode 10 of Season 3 of Star Trek Picard, The Last Generation, written and directed by Terry Matalas. And the synopsis went like this. In a desperate last stand, Jean-Luc Picard and generations of crews, both old and new, fight together to save the galaxy from the greatest threat they've ever faced, as the saga of Star Trek The Next Generation comes to a thrilling, epic conclusion. So yeah, that's what's going on, isn't it? It's Starfleet's Frontier Day, which we've been hearing about for the last couple of months. It's firmly under the control of the Borg, and that's all thanks to Jack. Thanks to Jack Crusher / Picard, the son of Beverly Crusher and Jean-Luc Picard, and the Borg Queen in his ear. We thought it was the Borg Queen last week, that voice. But just like old times, it's up to Picard and Riker and Troy and Crusher and everybody else to fly off to the rescue. At the end of the last one, as the Enterprise D came out of space dock and lurched up through the stars, and we got the clasp, that big bright flash of light. I was thumping the air, Chris. I couldn't wait to see what was going to happen. Willing to go off and save the Earth and save the Federation. But that's only half of the story, because back on the USS Titan, Captain Shaw has died. I don't know if anybody's over that yet. So Captain Shaw has died.
I'm not.
That's leaves number one on my list. No, that's at least in my top 5 of terrible missed opportunities.
So that's happened. 7 of 9 and Raffi, they've remained on board the infected USS Titan. They've got to sort of resist the Borg, haven't they? But strike back and gain some sort of advantage, even though the young crew, including Commodore LaForge?
I think, yeah. I'm sorry, can I just say one thing, Dan? Did you notice in the beginning they had the same star field as they had in this TV show?
Yes.
That was great, wasn't it? That was great. I was like, wow.
This episode was full of some lovely touches. But what was really firing it though was the real sense of blockbusterness about it. And the stakes seem very, very high for the old characters that, of course, we love, but for the new ones too, including LaForge's 2 really quite hot daughters. They look hot as Borg there. So I'm invested in them. I want poor Jack, young Jack, who I've always thought he was about 24. Turns out he's 35. But they fooled me because the lights are down low. So I hope Jack's going to be okay. I'm invested in all of these characters, and Shaw and Seven, and even Raffi has been redeemed. So I was thrilled to all of this. Scott, were you the same? Were you on the edge of your seat as well, just waiting for this to start?
Oh, absolutely. My wife and I, we were very invested. Now, she had not seen either of the first 2 seasons. As a matter of fact, she and I started watching the first season, and we stopped about 2 episodes in. I'm like, I'm out. And then I did watch, unlike some of the people in the panel here, I actually watched season 2, and I enjoyed parts of it, but there were definitely the cringe moments. I thought all cringe was in the first, but then every week we were both sitting there going, when's it coming? When's it, we're waiting for Thursday to come around. And so we were very eagerly waiting every week for it to come. And we have a 4-year-old here. So it was like, okay, sweetheart, Picard is on now. So here's the stuff you need. If you need anything, we'll pause it, but please don't come and screw with me.
See, for my money, Scott, week after week, incrementally, this series got better and better and better.
Yes.
to one degree or another. I think there was one episode which I felt was a little bit of a damp squib, but even that, not a single scene of that was wasted. That you could see that it was pulling its own weight. It just left me feeling, a little underwhelmed. It wasn't quite as sensational as the ones that had come before and the ones that would come afterwards. But delivering us here right at the end of episode 9 on the bridge of the Enterprise D, which I did not see this coming at all. Everybody laughed at me last week when I said that. But did you see this coming? You know, you're the retro game closet man. You've got loads of collectibles. Did you think that they could even begin to do this and that we'd ever see these characters stood on an iconic set again like that?
I never thought that we would see them again on film or on TV. In a theater, anything like that. But, you know, the nerd in me is, of course, coming up with all these hypotheticals and could it be in a book or something like that? And then, you know, I place myself in that universe and I think, well, they have to get it off of Viridian 3. They crashed it there, but because of the Prime Directive. And I just thought the thing just got trashed and that was it. I never thought that they would be refurbishing it. So, no, I never thought that that would ever occur. And that we would actually see it on the screen again. But then they beautifully said, hey, I got an idea. We're going to make Scott cry in his own living room. And I was
moved by it too. Yeah, I was moved. I was spellbound. Every little touch of one of those screens, Greg. I was watching as their fingers were dancing across the consoles, just like it was 1991. All over again, and seeing them in their element. The actors, Ian, you mentioned this last week, didn't you? The commanding tone in Patrick Stewart's voice just seemed to immediately return.
Yeah, a bit. I mean, the thing is, though, it was his idea for them not to have the rest of the cast in season 1. I think it was. Somebody told me, but he does seem to have more of a spark in him in this one than you know, he's quite old actually, and you can see the way he's moving and stuff like that. Yeah. He's well past it basically, but I think
still a fine actor though.
Yeah, he is. I think Picard, when I was watching this episode and the previous episodes, Picard is back. He's not being lectured at. He's not being told off by women. He's basically being Picard, which is a great thing. And don't even talk to me about this fella here. I think he's brilliant. I was like, Ray, he's back too. Do you know what I mean? So, and the only disappointment in this episode, and I'm jumping a bit, is that he didn't get his own show. You know, he deserves his own show.
Well, you know, we'll look at the prospects for that. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Seeing them all though sat on this bridge, Chris, this must have made you feel emotional to some extent as well, to see them working the old consoles the way that they would, dropping into their stations right away, and Captain Picard taking command, and everybody assuming their positions under him as well, because they'd said, hadn't they, before, you know, we're a family, but here they're not serving officers, a great many of them, are they? I think LaForge is, Riker is sort of, but they immediately follow him. It's really, really stirring, isn't it?
It's it was an amazing recreation, even down to you know, the bridge sets the bridge sounds that we were so used to hearing for 7 years. You pick up on little things like that, and one thing that I actually did in between episodes, and it drove it home because this season did fix many mistakes. And one of them specifically about the Enterprise, when I went back to look at the TNG movies, it was such a mistake to get rid of this in Generations. And I think now when I look at the Enterprise E all these years later, I'm like, there are a lot of problems with those Star Trek movies, but I think a big one is the fact that we don't have this Enterprise. We had the Enterprise E. It's small, it's cramped, it's hideous. Like, I notice it now more than I did before, but it's an ugly ship and it's an ugly, cramped bridge. And here, you know, we've come home to a certain extent. So, you know, I've watched. I know Trek Yards and a few other YouTube channels have looked at this in depth, and the fact that it looks different is the fact that it's not filmed on 35mm film for the first time ever, which makes the colors look a little bit off. It is a little bit darker, but for the most part, comparatively, it's an exact duplicate of the bridge, to the point where, you know, it's amazing that this isn't the original bridge, although I know the plaque is original, and there must be some original components from the set, just, you know, for posterity. But no, this is what we'd wanted for years. This is what we got back. And I agree with Ian and everybody else. Riker should have had his own show. I think actually Dave Cullen put out a video yesterday saying where this could have gone, which is, Riker, all our ships have just been like destroyed by the Borg. You just rebuilt this amazing Enterprise E or Enterprise D. So let's bring this back. And one thing that I did like, which I was a little bit torn on, but I now like in the previous episode, the fact that the fate of the Enterprise E is just a throwaway line. Worf destroyed it. I'm like, you know what? I'm fine with that.
And that's how people talk as well, isn't it? It's because they've got history. They all know, and we don't really. In that moment, we don't need to know these things, do we?
Alice actually in interviews clarified it a little bit. So just not backtracking too much, but if you want to know sort of the way he planned it is, it's not said on screen, but this is the way he views it: is Worf succeeded Picard as captain of the Enterprise E, and then pretty much right away wrecks the thing, which is a very Worf thing to do if you look at the character. It was very violent. So it's basically, like handing the keys of your Lamborghini to your teenager. Here you go, smash. So essentially that's what happened with Worf as captain. So I don't know. I think he probably got fired or something after that. But that off the screen, from what I gather, is the story of the Enterprise E, which is hilarious. But no, it's like looking at these sets, it's even the panels they're using, because I think it was in the later seasons of the Next Generation, they went to very, very early LCD panels on the Enterprise bridge, where it was just,
because it did change, didn't it? But it changed in subtle ways, so you wouldn't necessarily notice episode by episode.
They based it off of. It seems to be they've based it off of the bridge from season 7 of TNG, which the carpet's a little bit different, but I think that's a season that had that specific carpet. But no, it was awesome because of modern filming techniques. We got new angles. We sort of see the bottom, or sort of looking up at the captain's chair, which is cool. But no, and it's, you have them, they're all back in the positions they would have been in season 1, because Geordi was only at navigation in season 1, and then he's engineer. So it's like seeing Geordi back. And here's a fun thing also. Geordi now outranks everybody except for Admiral Picard, because he's a Commodore. So he actually outranks Riker now.
Mm-hmm. I had to double take thinking about that then. Yeah. I mean, in my view, Riker, I think I've said most weeks that I've just forgotten how good Jonathan Frakes could be, Greg. He's an actor who I've taken for granted, and I suppose because he's been directing almost exclusively for the last 20 odd years, we haven't seen him grow as an actor, so we couldn't possibly predict how good he would be, because he was apparently quite nervous about stepping back into the part of Riker. But here, he feels like the natural successor to Picard, I think.
Absolutely. And, the thing is, too, it's like I never was a huge Riker fan during the series. I mean, he's fine, but I always thought that he could be a little heavy-handed in his delivery. But here, I couldn't take my eyes off him. Every episode, every scene he was in, he just commanded me he was commander, I guess, so that makes sense, I guess. But I needed to see what he was going to do next, and just see his role. And that scene where he looks at Picard when they're just falling, the Titan's just falling, he's like, this is the end, my friend. It's such anyone else delivering that, it may not come across as like, this is serious. Within the last episode before that, he's telling Picard to get off the bridge because Picard put him in the situation. So it just is such a strong take. And once again, as I mentioned earlier, just the way that the whole, these are believable years of past, and how they're acting and what's going on. And the idea of Riker and Troy losing their child, and that actually causes separation, is not unheard of, right? Those are things that really break up marriages. Those are things that are very real things, and to see that happen,
the things that people never get over completely.
Right. And it's not drama for drama's sake. It's.
But Terry Matalas was left with that, though. I mean, that was created by the Kurtzman and co. That stuff about just to denigrate old Riker. So he's left now with this thing. So he has to make He has to make something out of
Make
it.
the
And
best
what
of
he
it,
did out the best out of it. He
I don't
did
think that
really
matters.
well. He did
I don't think
really
that.
well.
Yeah, I mean that's just. I mean, but that's the point, though. Is like
Yeah.
I'm looking at Picard as a whole, though, and I think I mean, I think it's fair to look at it as a whole. That these are things that happened.
No,
That
I'm agreeing with you.
yeah,
I'm not going against what you said. I'm just saying that he was left with this, and
Yeah.
Terry McTallis made something out of it.
Turned it to an
gave a good
advantage.
performance
Mhm.
and turned it round to make it work with those two characters, with Troy and Riker, and he did it very well, because I was moved when they were, remember when he was captured and they were talking in the chat. I
Yeah.
was moved
Yeah.
by all that stuff. I thought it was terrific performance and
Mhm.
really well written, stuff like that. And that's the what you call it. You if I had a hat again, I'll take it off to Terry, because Terry literally saved the generation's ending. He made us go, that's a great send off now to these people. That's what he
So
did.
whether this has saved Star Trek or not remains to be
Wow,
seen.
yeah, exactly.
Right.
But Terry
That's
has
another matter.
absolutely saved the legacy of the next
Exactly.
generation
Yeah,
without
yeah.
question. Yeah, you've been saying there about Riker, the things we've just been talking about, how they've deepened him. But I was thinking about those scenes he has opposite Worf. Several times in this, he's
Yeah.
put together with Worf, and they have every reason to believe that they are going to die.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
during the original show, and neither of them question it for different reasons. They're very different men. And during the original show, I always felt that there was not a hostility between Worf and Riker, but that they were always quite brusque with one another.
Yeah.
They were always trying to suss one another out, and there was a distance between them because they were so different. And I think Riker trusted him. I think they did trust one another, but I think there was also a deliberate distance both of them observed. And here they are facing. They've every reason to believe that they're going to die during this. And the entire time I was watching it, Scott, I wasn't convinced that all these wonderful characters that have been so lovingly brought back to the screen, I had the niggling feeling as well. I wonder if would they have the nerve to kill any of them. I was sincerely worried about them, and I was worried about the new people as well.
I was thinking that they were going to tap at least one, and that would be the one to go. And I was actually thinking it was going to be Jean-Luc. I
Ian said that, yeah.
yeah, and
thought it was gonna be
I
Jean-Luc.
said to my wife, I said, Lynn, I really think that what's going to happen is it's going to be one of those Data stepping up to take the bullet
Yeah.
again, and then Picard's like, no, it's my turn. That's what I thought what was going to happen. But with Riker, I mean, I don't know who had the best lines when it came to. I mean, number one, the comedy that they wrote into it was brilliant. Number two, Terry is the king of taking lemons and turning them into lemonade. So he has the ultimate Star Trek lemonade stand, because he took what was absolute crap and he made it, he spun it into gold. And then by not killing off any of our favorite characters, and yeah, they killed off, Captain Shaw. That was a very, Chris said it best, a very missed opportunity, because I saw a meme out there that said, I hate this guy, I can't stand him, by episode 6. If you kill him off, I'm suing Paramount. And we fell in love with the guy. And maybe it's just because he put it out there. So yeah, I think that there was that opportunity that they were going to kill somebody off and they didn't do it. And hats off, like Ian said, hats off. Thank you for not doing it.
What they should have done is they should have killed off Raffi, and then nine and Shaw should have been in charge of the new Enterprise.
No complaints for me with that idea.
So I actually I knew they weren't going to kill anybody. Dan, I could say I knew they weren't going to kill anybody off.
Okay.
And I can tell you why when my turn comes around again.
Well, tell us now.
Tell us now, yeah.
Okay.
It's your turn. Go.
Okay, so Metalis, one of the things that he's obviously done is a lot of this was repairing things that have been done. And you have to go back to Nemesis. So Nemesis, 20 plus years. It premiered in December 2002. So for 20 years, we've been stuck with Nemesis as the legacy, the horrible legacy, the horrible send-off to this. And there were some things in there that irked pretty much everyone across the board. every actor being out of character was one of them, which luckily was resolved this time. But one of the things that has been irking Star Trek fandom ever since then is this was your goodbye, and you kill off a character. Why did it have to be a downer? And the Nemesis is it's to this day, I've watched it many times over the past 20 years. It doesn't feel like Star Trek. It doesn't feel like these characters. The ending is abysmal. It's depressing. So that's no, I could have been wrong, obviously, and I would have. I didn't go outright and say it, but I didn't think he was going to kill off one of the original 7 because that would have been repeating what they did in Nemesis, which everybody hated. So I think this is more of a send-off that we had with The Undiscovered Country, which I think maybe up until now might be the best send-off. This may have equaled Undiscovered Country, but I had a feeling he wasn't going to end this on a downer, other than killing Shaw, which, yeah. But no, yeah, that was my view.
I did consider Chris, because I think that sunk in with me. I think as it went along, that did sink in with me. Go on, sorry, what was that?
I think Greg wants to say something.
Yeah, I think Greg has a question.
Yeah, I was just going to say that I actually was surprised that Jean-Luc did not die, because I would have thought that I wouldn't have been surprised. Let's put it this way: that Patrick Stewart agreeing to come back and doing Picard because it was pitched to him would have been like, fine, but I want this sort of ending for Picard. Like I could see him wanting to have a finite ending for him. And I was preparing myself for something that would have been, I think it would have been upbeat, better than Nemesis. But I actually really, and maybe I just rode into the hype, which is very easy to do, especially, as we were talking, like Picard's, his little speech to everyone on the Bridge of D before they all beamed down to the Borg ship, that it's like, what we could really be seeing. Like,
I'd have been in, Greg. I'd have been there. I'd have been. Yeah, I'm in, Captain. No problem at all.
yeah. That's I mean, that's why I thought, well, I think it's very possible, and I am so happy that I'm wrong, because I couldn't. I had to watch it a few times, the whole episode, because the first time I watched it, I was so tense. I had so much anxiety.
I did as well.
I was a mess.
I did as well. I was worried, and once I realised that they couldn't kill any of those characters off, that would kind of defeat the object of the thing, then I started to get worried about the Enterprise D. I thought we've only just had it back.
No, they wouldn't have done that for the same reason. I could tell you, just to expand on that, I can tell you why they weren't going to blow up the Enterprise D, because they've already done that for Shock Factor.
Exactly.
They've done that for Shock Factor in 3 out of 13 movies with the Enterprise. Well, the real Star Trek, and then that other terrible one. No, they would. Do you have any idea how angry fans would be after 27 years getting the Enterprise back after they destroyed it when nobody wanted it to be destroyed? Just to destroy it again, I'm like, no, people would have been protesting in the streets.
I tell you guys, the thing that one of the things I'm disappointed with, and it's no one's fault really, let's face it, is the character of Data. Because in the series, Data was like Spock, and he was great. That character was great with his logic and him trying to be human and stuff like that. And now, because obviously, he's a lot older. The actor, I can't remember his name now. What's his name?
Brent Spiner.
He's a lot older. They don't know what to do with him, because like if this was the Next Generation and it was like when they were young, he would have definitely went down to the Borg thing with them, wouldn't he? He would have went down. But because, and also I don't like he's got emotions now, and I don't like that. That's the only thing that I really disliked about this whole series, is that we couldn't have the proper Data back. We had to have this secondary.
But isn't what Greg was saying about character development though?
Yeah.
Wasn't this, looking back? Wasn't this always Data's arc?
He
was fascinated. He was fascinated by humanity and was striving to be human.
Exactly.
Something he could never be. And in our lifetimes, over the last 30, 40 years, since TNG started, we've seen technology advance to a level that things that we never thought were possible have happened. I think the idea is that it's happened to Data as well.
but it takes away who Data really is. You see, that's the thing. It's like,
or does it
not
actually
necessarily.
throw it, or does it take, or does it show the same person? Does it just throw
Doesn't.
new light on it?
no, I disagree. It does not. This is not Data. This is not the Data that I know. Unfortunately, but it's no one's fault, because what can you do with someone who's aged? And you have to make up some kind of story to
Right.
make it connect with everything. It's no one's fault. I just missed the Data. I miss Data. That's it. That's all I can. What else can I say? But
See,
that's the
for
only
me,
thing, the only thing
I
for
know
me.
exactly what you're saying, but for me, he is no more or no less evolved than the other cast members are. What Greg had described as what's changed both
Yeah, sure.
both Deanna
Sure.
and Will. They've been changed by various things, and Data as well has also been changed by. I mean, the whole life and death thing. They did overplay that. It's such a cliche, but I've practically wiped my hard drive of all that nonsense now. And what I see now is this character is his Pinocchio kind of story has come full circle. And so to see him sort of not wrestling with these emotions, but discovering these emotions when he was flying the Enterprise, for example, and he said, I want to go with my gut. I want to have that moment and trust me. I know I can do this. And obviously being a Federation officer of however many years, he knew he could calculate whatever, and he'd got the basic skills down. But that extra component that he never had before, he's now got. And these moments were sensational. And it wasn't just the fact that the Enterprise D has never looked cooler than when it was returning fire and getting stuck into the heat of the action there and showing all that maneuverability, because this was always a bit of an awkward looking ship on screen. I think we all know that. Here it moves and it glides so beautifully. But to see the look on Brent Spiner's face while he was doing all that, playing a version of Data he's never been able to play before, somehow retain, in my view, Ian, I see what you mean, but I could see a childlike glee in Data's eyes, whereas the version of the character I think we'd seen before play out, he'd got decrepit, he'd lost hope. Sorry, Greg, what were you going to say?
I don't know. What you call it? It became Millennium Falcon.
Well, it did.
No, Star Trek. No, I think that's unfair. I think
How
Star
is it
Trek,
unfair? This could never do that.
No,
the
I
TV
agree
series.
that-
No,
Nor
I
could it
think-
do it in the movies either.
I think that the Enterprise didn't become the Millennium Falcon. I think Star
it
Trek.
did.
I think Star Trek became Star Wars. Star
Yeah,
Trek
exactly,
for this hour became a blockbuster movie, which is exactly what they told us they were going to do.
Exactly.
And it's
I'm
okay
willing
by
to
me.
forgive it.
Can I
It's
ask Ian a
ridiculous,
question?
but I'm willing to forgive it.
Yeah,
And
sorry.
it is ridiculous, but it still looked cool.
It was right. It was fun. It was fun.
I think
Yeah,
sometimes you have to remove your lore from your head, and you have to actually think, okay, we're going to have a little bit of
Data
fun
did,
here,
Yeah.
right? And because I even said, I'm sitting on the couch and I'm like, oh my gosh, he's going full Lando, and he did. He went full Lando, and I was really expecting them on the way out to just bump the ship once, and just for Data to look back at Geordi and go, sorry, But I think we can bridge both what you're saying, of what you're saying about Data, because I agree with you both. Because this is, I think, Ian, this is an instance of be careful what you wish for. You may get it, because finally he doesn't just have an emotion chip. Now he is an emotional, practical, almost a human being, and he is not really enjoying it. There's things that we all enjoy about our daily lives. We love hugging our daughter. We love petting our cat. We hate having a headache when we wake up after we've had too much to drink, or we have a flat tire, what have you. But that's life. And I think Data is going, oh, shit, this was a lot better when I was a robot.
But I tell you
Greg,
one
you've got
thing.
a question.
Seriously.
You've got a question,
Hold on.
haven't you,
Can I
Greg?
just say something? Just I'll tell you one thing, right? I appreciate this discussion, right? And it's not coming from a place where this was absolute shit, like the last two seasons. These discussions, right? Whether Dan agrees with me and whether I agree with Dan or not, it's really cool, because we are talking about a show that we like.
That we love.
Which is like,
And
how many
it's
years
such
do we have to wait for
such
this?
a novelty, and to contrast one
Exactly.
another's takes on this.
How
This
many
is why
years?
we're here.
Although I do need to add one thing, though, because I think we saw one of the coolest scenes in the history of Star Trek. No, we're talking about the silly Millennium Fall, but that shot where they're looking back up at the Enterprise D, and for the first time, really, you get a sense of just how
Scale.
freaking massive that
Huge.
thing was.
Yeah.
And I love at the end as well, where they've got all their little rings, where at the old space dock in the museum, and the Enterprise D is so freaking huge it doesn't even fit into the little ring. It kind of has to stick out. I don't know. I geeked out at that.
But once again, I'm sorry to interrupt.
no,
When they went to beam up the survivors, and they're like, okay, we're getting these guys out of here. Wasn't that a Lando moment? Okay, I've sensed Luke. Let's go get him. And there's the Millennium Falcon to the rescue.
Yep.
I think that they were tipping their hat, going, okay, this is no longer you don't have to be, I love Star Wars, I love Star Trek. Well, screw you. Well, screw you. Bud Light. No, less filling, more, whatever. No, this was, yes, we both can live in everybody's hearts. And I know I'm sounding very smarmy there, but at the same time,
the ending as well, wasn't it? The ending when it exploded and the thing came out was just like the Millennium Falcon that came out the fire.
Yeah, it was great.
It comes flying out with its shields up as well.
Yeah.
I did wonder as well, because was part of it, we were talking about redemption of characters, for better or worse.
Yeah.
Another reason why I was slightly worried, and this has to have been done on purpose, is that when it comes to going and rescuing the guys, Riker, Picard, and Worf, and Jack from the Borg Queen, it's Troy that says, like, I've got this, and she sits in the same seat as the seat she sat in.
Yeah,
I did wonder, because she takes the same seat from Generations when she crashed the D.
No, that was
a way
on
of redeeming. I did wonder. Greg, you got a question for Ian a few minutes ago.
I was curious, Ian. I wondered if your thoughts on Data would have changed at all if the fact was that he hadn't died like twice. From the time, because in my mind, as much as I like Data, as much as I like Brent Spiner, when they retrieved him in whatever episode 7 or 8, whatever it was, part of me was a bit like, him again. We're going through this again. We're going through the lore thing again. We're going through the B4 thing. And to me personally, that is, it didn't go as bad as I thought it could have gone, but to me, it is a bit of personally a story that I'm not that overly interested in. I'm just curious in your take if that would have had any effect, if we didn't have all these sort of goodbyes or whatever, that it might have been a little bit better for you.
I don't know. I mean, the logical thing to do was if you're going to turn Data into a human being and say all of this was real, they would never have given Data an old body. And we know why they've given Data an old body. Same thing with Picard, is because of the actor. The actor's a man of age. So I can forgive them for that. But still, from the first episode where you see in the first episode of Star Trek Next Generation, when you see Data, immediately I'm like, this guy's going to rock. And it's the same thing with the Doctor in Voyager. When I first saw the Doctor and his situation and the way he spoke, I was like, this guy's going to rock. Yeah. But it's like, I know what you guys are saying, and he has to grow and all that stuff. But it's just like, they've taken away Data. I wanted the Data that I liked, but that's just me, right? That's just me. Yeah.
Our old Data is gone.
He's gone.
He is. And the second, I think the second he put that emotion chip in or whatever episode it was. Yeah. And then later on, of course, he just magically happens to have it, in Generations.
He can turn it off and on, can't he, in later films? Which, now that's a cop-out. That is a cop-out, because that forbids the character the growth that he'd earned.
Oh, no, he could take it out. He didn't bring it with him. Quote line from Insurrection. I'm like, so he could just put it in like an
SD card.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was right in his finger there.
The fact that we've tracked those characters like this, though, over the years, and this entire series, but I think particularly the last couple of episodes, can recognise what is due to them all. And I think over the last 10 weeks, some of us have had to wait longer for our favourite characters to come back into the mix than others, and I recognise those frustrations.
At least they came together.
Exactly. At least they were there. At least they come together. At least the story had that wonderful shape to it. It's beautifully put together, this entire series. And you think any fewer episodes wouldn't have been enough, but any more episodes would have been too much. It just makes you feel like professionals have actually put this thing together, earned their, no doubt, good salary. I'd imagine that they're not short of a few bob, and rightly so, and left us with something that I can't wait to get on physical media, Chris. I'll be there. I was going to ask you if you know when this damn thing's coming out, because I can't wait.
Well, if you live in Region 1, and I know a lot of people are torn on Strange New Worlds, I'm one of those that actually likes it. The other series are, belong in the toilet. But no, if you live in Region 1, because Strange New Worlds was released back in March on Blu-ray, there is a limited edition steelbook of Strange New Worlds coming out. I believe the release date is May 16th in Region 1, which is a test. It depends, because it's not cheap to put this stuff out on 4K relative to Blu-ray. This is a test to see how Star Trek would sell on 4K. So if you want Picard on 4K, and I think we do, well, who cares about the other 2 seasons, but if you want the Next Generation Season 8, which is what I'm referring to this as, if you want that on 4K, consider buying the Strange New Worlds on 4K. I didn't buy the Blu-ray, I pre-ordered the 4K, because this season alone, I want this on 4K. The announcement hasn't been made yet, but Star Trek is one of those series that will always have a physical media release, because of its fan base. It was one of the first shows to come out on VHS. It was one of the first shows to come out on DVD. Actually, the original series was the first TV series to come out on DVD. It was one of the first full season sets after the X-Files to come out on DVD or on the Next Generation. It was the first set. It was the first show to get a full remaster for Blu-ray, originally HD DVD. So get that, even if you remotely like it, support that release, because then we will get Picard, and then we will all be happy.
And I can watch it without ads.
It hasn't been announced yet.
You could put seasons 1 and 2 on there as like special features.
No.
Just make it all about season 3. Those can be like SD, like DVD, just all compressed onto one disc.
Disposable discs. You could take out these discs and throw them away and pretend they don't exist, because this is the Next Generation Season 8.
They can put season 1 and 2 on Betamax. That'd be fine.
No.
Betamax.
Obviously, this
VHS.
Obviously, this episode was led by what I consider to be an incredible performance from Patrick Stewart there. For a man, I think he did look considerably re-energized. Yes, as you said, Ian is a man of age, still a fine actor, and I think this is certainly his best work since probably since First Contact on Star Trek. And I love the character all over again. I remember why I liked him so much when I was a kid, and why even one thing I find a little bit nauseating in fiction is characters that quote Shakespeare a lot. But I even forgive Jean-Luc Picard that. So for me, he stands really tall in this. Everybody else more than holds up their end of the bargain. Yes, I'd love to see them doing more, but I think to see them functioning together as a crew and as a family, that more than delivers. And there are so many little nuggets there too, just tiny little moments like Worf falling asleep in the counselor's chair. Just little things they used to do that are so TNG, it's ridiculous. And there's lots of little all those little
really
lines.
Funny. Yeah.
Just immediately it just sets something off. You think, God, and they played that. They could have overplayed all of those things, and they never did. And it was same with the nods to the past as well. This moment, which again, the Earth is under attack. The space dock is about to fall. The fleet, all that stuff with the fleet firing on space dock is spectacular. And that weird sort of formation that the ships are in that we talked about last week. It took me until this episode, halfway through, to realize what that formation was, Ian.
Was it a helix?
No, it was it was the shape of Borg receivers.
Oh,
the component
okay.
receiver parts.
See, I was trying to figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it's supposed to represent, because they are receiving, and they're receiving the signal, and so that's why they've assumed that formation. But Space Dock is getting it, and we've only just had Space Dock back as well. I thought this thing's going to go down like a sack of spuds, but I think it stays up. I think it's okay, and all that's kicking off.
It's not okay, but it's still up.
It's still up.
Yeah,
that's what she said.
Not around me. Wait, hold on.
So all that's going on, and obviously with the Earth being in danger too, in imminent danger, we're used to seeing that in blockbuster Star Trek too. Though for me, the key to all of this, for the people out there who still don't get it, who still aren't on board, is that it is movie Star Trek just done on the small screen. Once you get over that, once you're on that page, you can see this is kind of like getting 3 Star Trek movies.
Yep.
Cut into hour-long chunks and put out on the TV for us. And this moment reminded me of Star Trek 4 in particular, because they're approaching the Earth and they send a signal, don't they, to the president. The president is President Anton Chekhov. And
he quotes some of the exact same lines that the president says in 4.
He does, yeah.
In Star Trek 4. I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, some of the exact same stuff.
There's a picture on Twitter with him and the guy who plays Shaw and Terry Matalas sitting on the sofa watching the show. Have you seen that?
I do have that. Yeah, I've got that coming up later on. Obviously, to hear Walter Koenig's voice there again, you think, well, surely this is just total fan bait. This is, but somebody got to play the president of the Earth.
It makes sense because DeForest Kelley helped send this franchise off way back in 1987.
Oh yeah.
So I think this being probably the end of the Next Generation, at least as the whole crew, I think in many ways it makes sense to have another member of the original crew all these years later send him off, even though it's obviously I believe his son or grandson.
Yes,
I think it was his son.
Son.
But yeah, it makes sense, and I kind of like that. That they named him Anton. I don't like those movies, but I appreciate that, and I think that's respectful. But no, and you only have 3 actors from the original series left, so I think it makes sense. One of them launched it, and one of them helped say goodbye to it 36 years later. So I liked it.
I like
it was good
like that as well. Yeah, to have something from TOS in there.
This episode wasn't without its fault, though.
No.
Yeah, it's good. It was good, though. I mean, one of the faults, in my opinion, was that they obviously didn't have enough money to do that battle between the Titan and the rest of them. So, and the ships it looks like they're all multiplied. It was like the same ship when you saw them all gathering and stuff like that. But the money is money, isn't it?
We've spoken about the effects in previous weeks, haven't we? How they only had a certain amount of money and certain choices were made. Things were left unfilmed that Terry Matalas had wanted to. Apparently, in his original script, we found out in this episode that that Ro Laren had actually survived that crash with the nacelle of the what's the name of the ship now?
I can't remember, but I know the one you mean.
Intrepid.
The Intrepid.
So yeah. So apparently she was supposed to have survived that, but they just didn't have enough money
so they blew her up.
Well, the idea was that she'd been saved, she'd been transported out by people she was working with, and that was always going to be. But they just ran out of cash, didn't have the resources. Yeah,
I'm glad it worked out this way. This was the best way to go, I think.
What about Shaw?
So am I.
Did they shoot someone when he was alive?
I'm not grumpy. I'm grumpy about Shaw, Ian, but yes, I'm also grumpy by where this went in the end, which I will save that for later. But
I'll save it for later.
My excitement for various reasons has been dampened, but I'll save that for my final words. But this was a good episode.
We did see Shaw. We did see Tuvok. Tuvok's okay. That was another thing I wanted to know. I wondered if they were going to leave us wondering. See, this is the testimony of writers worth their salt. They're aware of the loops that they've left open that need to be closed, and they closed the Tuvok thing. They closed the thing with the transporters. They make it clear that they work with the technicians to purge the young crew members of the Borg virus, and they also use it to detect changelings. And so you could say it's trotted out, but then again, it'd become bogged down in that kind of thing, and it leaves them enough texture to get into at a later date somewhere, somehow. I don't know. I thought it was nice. I thought it was nice that Shaw was in there because he's been such a massive part of this season.
It was a nice touch to bring him in that way.
Has he been in all 10? Did he make his first appearance in episode 1, or was it 2?
No, it was 1.
It was
1.
It was 1.
Yeah.
So it seems right that he was in there. And okay, but you're talking about Star Trek moment, but I suppose the crux of it is, and what it's hung on plot wise, is the idea that of things coming full circle again, Chris. With you were talking a moment ago about the symmetry with DeForest Kelley and Walter Koenig and all that kind of thing. But I suppose the real worth of this is the idea that the Borg threat that also reached its conclusion here, doesn't it? So this is something that's played out again on screen since season 2 of TNG. Originally involving, it was Q, wasn't it, that sent them careering across the universe to a confrontation with a single Borg cube.
Well, that's where it started, but it actually starts at the end of season 1, which was kind of retroactively.
Oh, yeah.
Because originally in Conspiracy, they were going to go that way with that race. So originally it was meant to be connected with that. But then retroactively, and this is the whole Conspiracy thing was derailed in season 2 as the writer's strike, and then season 2 ended up being a complete disaster, so they ended up going with the Borg thing. But no, retroactively, so it was the Borg that was destroying things at the end of the Neutral Zone, the season finale of season 1. So that's technically now where they date back to. And I guess I haven't watched the end of the season or the series finale of Voyager since it aired because I didn't like it. But I guess so. This was supposed to be the Borg cube from the season finale of Voyager, from what I gather. Yeah, it's the one that made it to Earth. So this is all that was left, I think.
It seems to pick up the story as well. I mean, the whole idea of Picard being linked to the Borg, whether he likes it or not, and even after his own technical mortal death, finding out about the syndrome that he's supposed to have had all those decades, it turns out that was Borg related as well. Yeah, they're able to pull on that. We got a lot less of Jack in this episode than I was expecting, but it all adds to the bond and the exploring the father and son relationship between Jean-Luc Picard and Jack, the one relationship we've never seen Picard have before. And they completely sold me on it. And you see, I think becoming a father at any age, trust me, I know about this, becoming a father at any age is it's life-changing. It can be quite daunting as well. You wonder if you're up to the job. And I think that can happen when you're 20. I think it could happen potentially when you're pushing 100 as well. And again, that's another great thing about the characterization in this, that we're still finding out new layers to Jean-Luc Picard this late in his life. And the scenes I felt between Patrick Stewart and Ed Spaliers were all so believable, so infused with real heart. And that's the stuff that I think moved me the most, seeing them both suffer like that. When Picard goes back into the collective, Greg, when he jabs the wire, the tube into his neck. I said I'd never go back to the collective, but he's willing to do it for his son, a son who's only had in his life, how long? Days? A couple of weeks?
Days. Yeah, not long at all. And that's
powerful.
I thought that's where we were going to see a sacrifice of old for young, and that's like I was all like fear mongering, like I mentioned earlier. I was on the edge of my seat watching this, and like, well, this is it. Riker and Worf are seeing him kind of do the final thing. And that's where it's noble, but it's one of those things that I find in these programs that we have a minute left to get these people out of the cube. Meanwhile, this conversation is like 5 minutes long. And I mean, I get it. I mean, it fine. That's how these things work.
That's drama. It's not real life. It's drama.
Exactly. But the thing is too, it's like, all of a sudden, you can take that out and it reverts you and you're not Borg anymore. And I also thought it was so funny when we get Jack back on board the Enterprise, his mother comes up to him and first thing she does is she like tries to hug him and pats him like on where the wounds are on his face. And it's like, that has to hurt. What are you doing? She's like, it's like, knock it off, leave him alone. He just got who took those off? I mean, she's the doctor and she's not even there. Who took those off?
There's lots of things like that that's happened in there. Like, for instance, I understood that when the Borgs touch you and they inject you, it's nanobites that go and infiltrate your body and turn you into something. But with this, right, they said that they went in the beam me up thing and something went in there. So what goes inside them? Because when the cube blows up, suddenly all the people that have been infected are not affected anymore. So what is it? Is it nano technology, or is it something else? It's got to be something else, right? But if you look closely, nanotechnology was far more better, or was a better option than this option, because once the thing blew up, they all disappeared. But in the old days, if the nano went inside you, you just know we can get it out because it'll just assimilate you.
Well,
Ian,
it made you cybernetic. As
can
a
never-
signal.
Yeah,
You can never have enough options. And I've got something that's going to blow up this stream now and rock our very world, because she is here, and I think she's vertical. She may she may even be so.
Alice Krieg is here.
Yeah, yes.
I'm just see if I can see the whites of her eyes. Yeah, she's okay. We are joined by the one, the only, our favourite atomic blonde. Andy is here. She's made it. They must be closed early.
Yay! Oh, thank God it's not my ex-wife.
Wow.
Hello.
What
Good
to
evening.
say to that? Hello. Hi.
Welcome to the show. Have you had a good day?
I have. I'd say I'm a little bit. I literally ran down from the station to get here. So I'm a little bit.
Oh, well.
Woof. I was like, I need to be on this stream. I need to be talking about this episode. I am probably a tiny little bit had a few drinks, so
Good girl. That's what we like to hear.
I'll be good, I promise. But hi, lovely to see everybody. Hi,
So,
hi,
Andy.
Chris, hi, Mega.
Hello.
So did you, after all these weeks, I mean, you and I have been geeking out about this, haven't we?
We
Both on
have,
streams
we
and
have.
privately. So
Yes.
did this stick the landing for you? Were you thrilled? Were you blown away by it after all? Because I think we were all, when you've enjoyed something this much, you do wonder,
Yeah.
is it going to stick the landing?
Exactly. And I was like, please. And apologies if you guys have hated it. I did love the landing. Wasn't perfect. There's some things in my head going, but what about this? What about that? We don't know about that. But overall, I loved it. I did. I was like, it literally like it rounded everything out, you know, for me. And the biggest thing was it had a positive, optimistic, hopeful ending. No one died, which is something we just do not get these days.
Yep.
And that, for me, that was the thing. They all made it. They were sitting there playing poker, and for me, that was the big thing, right? They all made it out. So apologies if you all hated that. But
I loved it too. So you think redemption? I mean, Chris spoke earlier on, actually, at some length about this, a kind of redemption of the whole story of the next generation, not just Star Trek Picard as a sort of legacy show, but of everything that started from 87 upwards. Chris felt that the whole thing had been done dirty, and that this hits reset.
I think most of us appreciate the films in some capacity, but I don't think the cast really got what they deserved in all of the films. And especially the last film was like, for me, this absolutely, like, I don't say retconned it because that's a bit bold, but absolutely gave us the ending that we should have got. Like, you know, you ended on like Data dying, and it was all a bit like, you know, and it was just really a bit of a nonsense nemesis. And for me, this gave us the ending, the positive ending that I think we all hope for, that they found an intelligent way to keep Data going. You didn't have to kill Data off because the actor was going to age if you had a bit of, you know, and to that, I don't want to knock the writers. They were so burnt out after doing however many years of doing, you know, Next Generation, everything else. They were just kind of done. And they were like, whatever. Yeah, absolutely. So this gave us, I think, the ending that we all kind of hoped for, that positive, and everything we kind of complain about New Trek. I think this absolutely landed the positive, hopeful, optimistic, no matter what, with hope. And, you work together as a team and love and all those kind of cheesy things, but somehow you will win if you all work together, or you have this optimism that we just do not get in New Trek. And even at, say, the end of the films, we didn't get that optimistic ending that everybody moves on to something great.
No, I think you're right.
This gave me that
hearing
ending was amazing.
Hearing you talk like that, and the things that Chris has said, and in fact, I think everybody's sort of touched on this. I don't think I'd truly been aware how much this had niggled at me over the last 30 years. I've never been satisfied with the way it all closed out. Maybe it's because they never intended it to end. Because I suppose they were still quite young actors then, and most of them were still in their 40s. They've got no reason to think that they would never play those characters again. But gradually it did end, kind of by default, just as we were talking about earlier on. But here they are. You would never guess that they seem re-energized, and the Enterprise looked better than ever. I think that when I think on screen, moments like this, for example, this is exactly the kind of shot we used to get in TNG. But obviously the ship never looked. The ship is it looks the same, but different, but better. It's in the same kind of position that it would have been in the original show. And that's how it's little things like this. For all that we see it moving around earlier on, like the Millennium Falcon, Ian was saying, we see it doing all things we've never seen it do before.
I was saying, I literally put, sorry, Dan, to interrupt. I literally put Star Wars, hold my beer. They just went in and just like flew around, done the Death Star run in Return of the Jedi. Yep. But like, hold my beer. And it was brilliant though, because it's something you never could see with a model, right? It was fantastic.
Exactly. We forget that this was meant to be the flagship of the Federation, so why wouldn't it be able to do stuff like that?
Yeah, I have one complaint about that, and did anybody else's heart break a little bit when Raffi says, "Well, what's left of that ship is ancient." Like, no,
that's ancient all over there, isn't it?
That's why we don't like Raffi.
It's 20 years old. It's like, jog on, love, whatever. I thought that was the most ridiculous comment ever. Like, ancient. It's like, I think, when we go back to probably Rafa Khan, it was like 25 years old with the Enterprise A, right?
Well, this one would be
this is only like, it's not ancient. It's like 20 years old.
It's about I think 30, if I'm doing the math right, 37.
Could be.
Yeah,
But
so
when we say ancient, for me, ancient is like 100 years old, not like.
Well, it'd be like having a battleship now that's from like 1985 or 1987. Yeah, you'd have to upgrade the technology, but the Enterprise, the Galaxy class ships were behemoth. It is to this day still by far the largest Enterprise. It even dwarfs the Enterprise E.
But maybe that goes back to episode 1 as well, when they go, nobody likes the fat one. And it's like this huge Galaxy class ship. I don't know, but I think it's all a little bit of a dig.
Matt said that last week.
Yeah, I think it's just a little bit dig at just younger generations. I mean, the whole fact everybody under 25 years old got assimilated.
Yeah,
who's not reading into that? Seriously.
I also think it's interesting that that you look at the D in the episode, and there isn't any ships that look anything similar to D throughout any of new Star
Inside
Trek.
or out.
Through any, it really sticks out as something that is truly. I mean, when you really look at it, considering it was designed in '86 or whenever it aired in '87, like nothing like that has been. I mean, the detail and everything, it's of its time, but it really stands out. That that's not a rip on the ships that they're making now. That's fine, but this is truly unique, and it actually really stands out in this episode. It really kind of blew me away with how this is such a unique looking ship. And it just, when it first came out in '87, when I first saw Encounter at Farpoint, I'm like, this is what is this? I love it now. I absolutely love it. It was so good to see it again.
Yeah, 100%. I think back in the day, it got so much criticism. And now we look back now at how much we love that ship. It's kind of
people forget even up until 10 or 15 years ago, people used to say a starship with carpets, and now it's like, why hasn't my starship got carpets?
Everyone's like, why doesn't it look like the Enterprise? Why does Star Trek not look like the Enterprise D? That is everybody's biggest complaint, right? It's too dark. Where are the carpets?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Weird.
And where's the computer?
Goes around, comes
Yeah.
around.
I don't like that design. I prefer the original Star Trek Captain
Oh, Constitution
Kirk.
class
Oh,
yeah,
is
I prefer
absolutely the
that.
The
best.
original's a
It's the best.
proper
Mhm.
design classic.
Constitution
It's
class will always be
I
the
I think
best.
the
Yeah.
middle of this one looks too fat. You know, too many
Well,
windows.
he's off.
Too
He's
many
off.
windows.
The difference of
But before we get too stuck into this, I want to bring it back to the episode because we've mentioned
Yeah.
Star Wars a few times, and I mean there is so much in this hour's worth of TV. What with the character beats, the nuggets. We've been going for an hour and 20 minutes already, and I feel like I could easily go for another couple, but I'm not going to do that to you guys. but I did want to touch again on the plot because that's what's unique to this that's only going to exist here, and for all that we spoke earlier on about Ian, you said about Terry's given it back to us. The team who all of the writers, the production personnel on this, the people who designed it, who put it together, also beautifully in every respect. They've given it back to us and redeemed all of this. But they've also given us a lesson in how to do it. What other production teams who've had considerably more resources and time at their disposal have failed to do. Yep. This has thrown incredible shade on the Star Wars sequel trilogy in particular, because a lot of the things that this needed to do, that it tasked itself to do, was that which that sequel trilogy was also trying to do as well. And it kind of found itself back in the same place too. I can't have been the only person who was reminded visually, aesthetically, of the return of Palpatine in that last Star Wars movie that I can't even remember the name of that Star Wars movie. It was so bad. But
The
Palpatine
Rise of
was in
Crap.
it. It's the rise of something or other. So whatever went on there, I know that Palpatine was in that, and it didn't affect me at all. But this stuff with the board, you see what I mean? Story-wise, it's very, very similar. It's hitting the same narrative beats, but because the characters have been built properly, because the actors are properly inhabiting them in the moment, because it's written pretty damn well for something that is a blockbuster that is meant to be zap, pow, and mainstream, and all the Borg Queen. The Borg Queen is still the same character that she was. She's the big bad. She's the giant. She's the big giant dragon curled up inside the volcano. We all know who she's largely a pantomime villain, but because they've always put good actresses in that part, particularly Alice Kree, she was certainly back vocally here. She's retained some power, some menace, some threat. And the real worth of that character, in truth, is what she's able to promote in Jean-Luc Picard and Jack Crusher, and that sense of fear, isn't it? So do you see what I'm saying about the Star Wars shape there, Scott? About how it turns out that the creature that they thought had been killed, the villain that they thought had been defeated, turns out it had sort of lain dormant and had reached its tentacles out mentally rather than physically, and had crafted allegiances and played a longer game.
Well, right, because when they brought Palpatine back, they didn't even know what they were going to do for the next movie, and they're like, "Oh, I've got an idea. Let's use a cheap plot device and cloning and stuff," as opposed to with
It was all done on the fly, wasn't it?
Right, it was. And with the Borg Queen, the way that she was written was she, number one, she can just download her consciousness into another body. She had that eternal effect, as opposed to what they pulled out of their ass in Star Trek or Star Wars, the Rise of Crap, as Chris so eloquently put it.
I was going to call it the Rise of Bull, bad word, but I didn't want to get Dan demonetized.
Thank you, mate.
So, but absolutely, they and I was so happy, that they actually had Alice Kree there, who I almost got to go meet last year in May, but that did not happen. So I was just like, oh, bummer. But I've always loved her as the Borg Queen. The other ladies, they do a very decent job, but sometimes there's just that one who, because she moves like a cat. She's like a Black Panther, just kind of, walking through the jungle. I own the place, and she just has this vibrato that the other ones just did not have. So, and I think that goes
because she's a Shakespearean actress as well.
Yes.
In the same way, that's why she was a good foil for Patrick Stewart.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Did anybody think it was weird after everything happened? It said 1 year later. And then they were back.
No.
The three were back on the Enterprise, and they were talking about shutting it down and stuff like that.
No, I didn't think it was odd. In fact, I expected it to pick up a lot later than that.
No, well, the reason why I say that is because they spent a whole year
Doing
not
what?
going back. Yes, I'm saying they're going back
Rebuilding
to
the defenses, right? Rebuilding space dock, the Earth defenses. I assume they spent the year
I know, but
doing
why
that.
would they, after a whole year, why would they want to shut down this Enterprise?
Maybe
Why
it was
didn't, why didn't they just shut it down when everything was
Right,
calm?
immediately.
Geordie hadn't even finished rebuilding it when he took it
Well,
into the
it
battle.
seemed to work pretty well without the parts. Let's face it. So I don't know.
No, I honestly, I think that was absolutely a plot kind of. Let's say goodbye to the Enterprise D that we all wanted it, not crashing into a planet and being destroyed. I think it was absolutely a plot device for the fans. It belongs in the Fleet Museum and not being crashed into a planet. I am absolutely with you there, Ian. It was 100% a fan thing, but I loved it.
Yeah,
but I will say as well, sorry.
I just don't understand why it was a year later that they ended up.
I'm saying it's absolutely a plot thing for the fans.
Yeah,
absolutely
I
plot
guess.
things to say.
I do.
Let's say goodbye to the Enterprise.
You know what?
I
prefer this what you call it, the picture you just showed, Dan. I prefer that bridge than the Titan bridge. The Titan bridge I don't like. I like this bridge.
It's beautiful.
That's the best bridge in the history. I'll give you that over the Defiant, over Voyager,
over anything.
Over the original series.
The Defiant and the NX-1, those are submarines.
Yeah, they are. They are for the most part. Yeah, I think that when we come back, we're going to talk about the final moments of this episode, because obviously when the drama, when the plot finishes and the characters, it turns out that they didn't kill any of them. They're all going to be fine. They'll get to play cards and hang out and do all those things, and their friendships and their lives get to continue. So there's that. But obviously, there's other things going on in this episode too. So we're going to pick up with all of that in a moment. But first of all, I want to take a look at the live chat, because it's exploded with comments. Let's go and see what they've got to say over there. Oh, hey chat, hey panel from Garbage. Hi Garbage, good to see you. And lots more comments too, including this one from where is he? Yes, here he is. This is the podcaster Jeremy Bennett, who puts out the Doctor Who Panel to Panel podcast. I think he does a Star Trek Panel to Panel one now and again. So his podcasts cover comic strip adaptations of big sci-fi franchises. It's hi all. Jeremy here, totally loved Picard series 3, and many moments were unexpected, from Riker butting heads with Picard, Geordie being against them at first, etc. That made it more interesting. I would agree with that. Good to see you here, Jeremy. Sam says, I love the interior of the Enterprise D. I never liked the exterior, but still got emotional seeing this ship again.
Same here.
Same with me. The classic 80s fanboy, he's ringing Worf's unintentional one-liners. Michael Dorn does comedy so.
Well, Swords of Fire. Comedy is the best, isn't it?
It's the threesome.
The threesome. It's like, do you ever hear yourself? Snap.
Lord Thoth says, I can't believe you compared this to Undiscovered Country.
Yes, I did.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Undiscovered Country was a better ending than this one, because they were all at the right age to actually send them off. But with this one, it's kind of, they took too long doing it. And it's okay, but it's not as good as Undiscovered Country. And I actually had a lump in my throat in Undiscovered Country, especially when you saw the signatures and stuff.
Yes.
I expected them to do that with the signatures again this time. That's the only thing.
That would have been cool.
Would have been cool, but I think they're secretly hoping they might get something else. That's why it's not been done. That's what I'm thinking. They're all up for it.
Michael, thank you for that one, Lord Thoth. I love Undiscovered Country. I think it's a great movie.
Fantastic.
But let's not lift it up to be something it isn't. That's also just a blockbuster Star Trek movie. It's pretty much exactly the same as what we've just got. And I think it would be churlish to say that one of those was better than the other myself.
No, well,
Michael
we won't.
Rogers.
Arguably, it can be 2 and 6 can both be argued. This is the better film. That's the better film.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're both.
Who is better?
No, it's not.
I'd happily talk about all the Star Trek movies because I love
Trek
them
3.
all, but I love them all with reservations,
I
and
think,
that's
I think
and same
giving
as
them
this.
a send off in a TV show that they never
Yes.
planned to have
Yes.
is a great ending.
It
Whereas
is a great
obviously,
ending.
instead of Undiscovered Country was a planned ending.
Yes.
So I think Undiscovered Country is brilliant, and like you say, it makes me like every time. This time still gives me a lump, but they're hoping something might come. But this might be their Undiscovered Country. That's my view.
This
Could
was
be,
the
could
farewell, goodbye,
Yes.
and amen from MASH in in sci-fi. It really
Yeah.
was.
Lord
Yeah.
Thoth gets the comment of the night, which I'm not going to read out because it won't embarrass me. Nothing embarrasses me, but it might embarrass some people. So I'm not going to bother. I'm not going to go into any of that.
She does. She's an absolute bike of the D.
Yeah.
Lord Thoth does say as well, I want this season on 4K just for the Starship
too,
porn. So it's
me
not
too.
all bad news there. For,
It does
for
look
Lord Thoth.
great, though, doesn't it, Dan?
Yeah.
The whole series looks absolutely fantastic, doesn't it? The
Does.
colors and everything. It looks and 4K. It's going to look wonderful. It really
Yeah,
is.
I can't wait. I'm literally waiting for the pre-order to come out. I've literally typed it a few times. It's not there yet.
Get
On there.
Two Worlds. Even if you hate it, that has to sell for there to be any more seasons 4K sets. So even if you hate it, if you want Picard, buy it and I don't know, give it to your puppy or something.
Sam agrees with us about the President Chekhov tribute there.
beautiful,
Lovely tribute to
beautiful,
both
yes.
actors.
Yes, I love that. Sorry, I missed
Yeah.
that, but yes, love that.
Very, very lovely. And more talk about Tuvok as well. Jarry Time says here, yes, Picard 3, the farewell we needed, like Luke killing robots, was for Star Wars. Yeah, I think I see exactly where you're going with that. Yeah,
Okay,
that's
yeah.
kind of what I was saying.
Yeah.
If he
Thank God
also
didn't have
says if
Wesley.
Kirk,
That's
If
all I
it-
can say.
Yeah, thank God. Oh my gosh.
I half expected Will Wheaton to turn up. If
No,
Kirk had showed up,
he was the surprise in season 2, and it was a surprise nobody wanted.
Yeah.
Although, come to space.
If I may insert real quickly, because the Ready Room show that he does, I have never watched it, but I did see a small excerpt with him and Michael Okuda on the Bridge of the D, and it was maybe about 2 minutes long on Facebook, and I watched it, and he was talking about how he had that moment where it's just them on the bridge, and he actually texted Brent Spiner. He said, "There's protocol. I can't sit down in this chair." So he goes, "I have to ask if I can sit there." So he texts everybody, and Brent Spiner says, "Absolutely not." And then Jonathan Frakes was actually 2 studios over, and he actually said, "Oh yeah, you can go ahead." And then so did Data. "Yeah, go ahead." So they sat down. And it was just a nice moment. And I'm not the biggest Wesley Crusher fan, absolutely not. Nor am I.
Nor is Terry.
Yeah, but sitting there watching them interact and talk about this, Michael Okuda, the graphic designer from TNG, it was a real nice moment. And I might actually have to watch that now, just because I think you're getting a little tidbit that we're not getting, kind of like watching Doctor Who Confidential. We get those things that we never got. Watching the
Do
show.
you know what? Right, watching Will, whatever his name's, Whedon do a show
Will
like that
Wheaton.
would be watching. It would be like watching Jodie do a documentary about Doctor Who. No way.
I don't think it would be that bad, but
No, but Yash, it'd be Yash.
Yes.
Like,
agree with that.
let's
That's
interview, David.
yeah,
Tennant
you're right.
with, like,
If it was Yaz doing sort of on the street sort of web what do they call them, sort of what do they call it?
What's that?
Video diary kind of things.
Yeah.
That
Yes,
would be
it's the most
excruciating.
popular companion interviewing Doctor Who. You're like,
yeah,
oh,
no.
Darren M says, "Hey again, folks. The rabbi just wrapped up. I think he needs a smoke after his nerdgasm over Picard."
oh,
I know.
dear.
Yes, I heard
Rabbi.
the rabbi was streaming again tonight. So yeah, obviously I haven't caught him, but I will be catching up with Sfila Betkin at some point. So I hope that he's recovered and he's managed to get himself out from that very ugly puddle that he's now dating at the moment. Poor old Borg Queen. She doesn't look well, does she? Says Sam. No, neither would you, mate. Neither would you. She's had a rough 30 or 40 years, I'd say. Shatner, yes. I wondered if they picked that up with Bill Shatner and Captain Kirk that we saw in the at the Daystrom space station. But there was a lot of things in that space station.
Those
So
books were great.
a lot to pick up on. Danny Pearson says basically hello to everybody and happy Worldwide Earth Day. I hope everyone.
Day, yeah.
What's Worldwide Earth Day? What's Worldwide Earth Day, Greg?
Day.
Any idea?
It's
on my
April
phone.
22nd. April 22nd is Earth Day.
Earth Day, apparently.
Yeah.
What am I
Okay.
supposed to do? Am I supposed to
Well,
do a
celebrate
chant or
the Earth,
something?
enjoy it. It's been around. It hasn't been around long, Dan. It's been around since like the early '60s. So you know, I understand
okay.
not hearing about
Okay.
it. So,
We're spring chicken. We've established this the other day, so it's well before my time. Well
I'm
before
going to
my
not recycle something just because of it.
what is this? I plan to do my. Danny Pearson says I plan to do my before and after reaction on more than just the Picard finale, but also a number of other things too. Good for you, Danny. Enjoy yourself. Let us know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know who Danny is. I don't recognize that name, but it's good to have you here, Danny. Let us know how you, Donny. Sorry, let us know how you get on with that.
Donnie Marie.
We're talking about all of those things soon too. Don't you worry about that. A tour 2000s. Yeah, we've got lots of comments about the Power Rangers. I'm glad you enjoyed it, Donny. It's not what we're talking about tonight, but we will be talking about that, or at least I will at some point in the future.
Dan, can I just say that? Sorry to cut in, but you know, we talk about what's the difference between this and like other shows, and I literally have started watching this from episode 1 again because I'm sad. But you know, there's a fundamental line in episode 1 where they turn around and say the past is important and you need to respect the past. Whereas everything else we watch is like burn it down. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
The past is gone. And for me, like in episode 1, I didn't even click at the time, but literally watching it, because I'm watching it all again, saying, what have I missed? And I literally missed this line where it's the Romulan lady. I can't remember her name. Is it
Laris.
Literally
We never
says
see again.
Okay, still sitting in that bar waiting for him.
Yeah.
But
it's like how I date people, funny enough.
But she literally turned around and said to Picard, the past is important and you need to remember the past and sort of respect that, paraphrasing, but the past is important. And you know, I just literally watched that and went, that is everything different about this show than everything else that we complain about, right?
Yeah.
And for me, that was it in episode 1. And I didn't even click, but he set out from day 1 going.
I'd remember the line. I'd remember the line where Picard says to, I can't remember who he says it to, but I've never been somebody who needed a legacy.
He says
But he
it to
gets
her.
one anyway.
Yeah, he says
Says
it to her.
Mhm.
And she basically actually almost like cuffs him around the head and says, don't be an idiot. And then literally later on, she says to him, but the past is important and you kind of need to, you know, like look at your past and embrace it, almost like paraphrasing. And I just think that just sums up everything why this show's worked, whereas other stuff.
Oh, you're right.
But they also dovetail into data showing Dr. McCoy around the ship, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what they're referring to the old Star Trek, and you have to respect what went in the past going forward.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's the thing that I think watching lots of obviously YouTube videos and people talking about this, that's why this show, this one thing works, because they've completely respected the past characters, even TOS. It's everything that's come before, like, you know, Voyager, these all of those shows, and gone,
They're all in
we
the mix somewhere, aren't they?
respect these, but we need to move on. We need to pass the torch, and this is how we're going to do it. Whereas everything else is like, well, that's crap. Let's burn it down.
Yeah.
And this is the fundamental difference.
Here's a question to you, Dan. So Picard, right? It looks like Picard and Crusher's going to, you know, get it on. What about the feck woman that lives in his vineyard? What about her?
She's still I think she's still at the bar waiting for him.
That's what we've been talking about.
It's been 2 months. Ian's completely forgot that's Laris. That's the one we've been talking about.
Laris,
whatever. She's still sitting at the bar.
Yeah, she's old news. He swiped left on that one. He's not having it anymore.
Well, I mean, he's got a family now, so
he's gonna have to ring her up and go, I'm going
That was the one thing that Terry completely missed. Like,
My old
It's-
girlfriend showed up with my kid, and I'm gonna have to ask you to pack your stuff. And get out
Yeah,
of my house.
exactly, and move
Yeah,
out.
he's like, I might not make it. Is that okay?
Well, that was part of my wish list. It would have been cool when they said Admiral Picard and Admiral Crusher. If they would have said
Yeah.
Admirals Picard, I'd have been like, yay! Just because
Yeah.
I'm a fanboy.
Right, I think that's all the comments for now. We're going to get stuck in to the future. What could happen? What they left us with hanging in the air, where it could go, and for who? Who could we see again?